Florida. But I find myself someplace in the middle. Is actually I enjoy a snowy day because it gives me an allowance to sit in my comfortable chair, drink another cup of coffee, and read my books. And today I was doing that and ran across this quote from Pliny the Elder. Hope is the pillar of the world. Hope, I lost the second line. Hope is the awakened man's dreams. And I think that really applies to us as we plow through our seasons here in Michigan, is that in the dead of winter, people are perplexed. But in the heat of the summer, we're agitated. But when we move through the seasons, we're actually moving through seasons of hope. And that we know that in the worst of our season, the most painful and the most desolate, we know that there's another season coming. And so in the wintertime, a man who is awoke, a woman who is awoke, is looking at the snow, and underneath the snow, all of the seeds that they've planted that will come to bloom in the spring, and that will be their harvest in the fall. And so as people who are awakened, we live on hope for ourselves and hope for the world, and we can go back and relax and read our books in the snowstorm and know that we have planted something that will reach a harvest for our world.
Thank you, Jane. Enjoy lunch, and we'll be back with introductions of our visiting Rotarians and guests. The Rotarian will introduce the guest. Guests, no pressure. You don't have to talk. You just have to stand up here and look good. Rem will hand you a mic. So we have John Rupert, Eric Seifert, Rob Taylor, Kathy Betts, and Keith Cummings. If you want to come up here, we can have you wave to the club.
Hey there, I am here with Monica Turnbull, wife and to Brandon, wherever he went, there he is, and also my office mate and resource development director at Boys and Girls Club of Muskegon.
Good afternoon, John Rupert, Muskegon Co-op Federal Credit Union. Our newest employee is Joseph Rupert, my son, who's our guest. He's working with us over the holiday, and he's going back to school at Northwood University Saturday studying entrepreneurship and accounting.
My guest today is Aaron Bodbill Mast. This is his second time, and somebody at the table said, well, third time, and you remember. So, trying to convince him to join. I won't make him talk this time. I made him talk last time. But Aaron lives in Muskegon now, and is very interested in everything that's going on in this great town. So.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Cummings. I'm visiting for the fourth time. I'm in the midst of orientation, and I'm looking forward to being a member.
Well, Aaron, if you're interested in what's going on in Muskegon, this is a place to be. So you're in the right spot. Okay, no student guests today, so we are on to our program, and it is my privilege to introduce Gabe Gerlach and Bruce Spolman. Gabe grew up in Ludington and frequented Muskegon for sporting events and outdoor fun. She spent 10 years in various recreation management and teaching roles in Florida and then in the UP before returning to beautiful West Michigan in 2017 to work for the Muskegon Y. She is focused on programming that benefits the Muskegon community, and she currently leads the new Y Learning Center. We're going to hear more about that today, as well as working with Bruce to manage YMCA Camp Pendaluan. Bruce Spolman has roots in Muskegon, dating back to being born at Hackley Hospital and graduating from Muskegon High School. He spent over 20 years doing corporate as well as nonprofit work in the Toledo area before moving back to Muskegon in 2003. Since 2014, Bruce has been the CEO of the Muskegon YMCA, Prior to that, he was the executive director at Camp Pendaluan. Leading the Muskegon Y is a great match because of his passion for building a healthy future for Muskegon, and he thinks being physically fit is a job requirement. So Bruce and Gabe, if you can come on up. All right, before I hand the podium over to Bruce and Gabe, I want to share some of my personal experience working with Bruce over the last 10 plus years. And he has become the nonprofit CEO in this community that I admire most. He acts with integrity and an understated sense of accomplishment, and it's been my privilege to get to know him through the Friends of Pendaluan and serving on the Y board. So I'm excited for Bruce and Gabe to have the opportunity to share what's going on at the Y.
Wow, I'm almost speechless. I was to take back all those things. Thank you, Jason. That's very nice, and it is a privilege and a pleasure to be here. I do feel like we're among friends. It's not just because of roots of Muskegon, but just because of you think about what's going on, what's happened in the past 17, 18 years with the Y and the integration that we have as associations, our current joint ownership of the Seaway Run, for example. I mean, it's not just a partnership in deed or in words, but it's in reality if we have a partnership. So we're going to talk a little bit more about some things specifically about the Y. I'm going to start, so I'm not, and Gabe is going to do the real interesting stuff. I'll just make her look good. That's why I'm here. And so we talked about the partnership in general, but now the slide is not advancing. There we go. And the current state of the Muskegon Y, a lot of people, we still get calls every once in a while. Is the pool still open? And people have come to our building on 3rd Street in Houston saying, this is it? And it is. It's our headquarters. We're located in various parts of the community. We still have our own identity in what we're doing. Camp Pendaluan continues to thrive. We talk a little bit more specifics about that. It is one of our branches. Ys, as organizations have, you think of Grand Rapids, for example, may have like 5 or 6 different branches, Rockford and other places. In the Muskegon Y, we have our main housing, our administrative branch, we call the Community Y, and then we have Camp Pendaluan, and now we have the Y Learning Center. So the Y Learning Center is our 3rd branch, and then just some specifics about what we do at the Y, at a non-membership kind of facility. We happen to be, you remember before when we've talked about diabetes prevention, it might be our moniker. Rem is nodding his head. He knows firsthand as well in being a supporter of that and helping us with our project with Mercy. We have the end of our a grant with the CDC in conjunction with Trinity, as well as some other initiatives that have been so successful that we are now managing the DPP, the Diabetes Prevention Programs, for YMCAs throughout the state. So we manage the Diabetes Prevention Program for Detroit. We manage it for Grand Rapids, for Kalamazoo, for Flint, for Saginaw, et cetera. And so and those are all out of our administrative office. So we hire the coaches. Everything is virtual except for one program right now, and that's kind of an innovative one where we work with the ISD, and we work with young adults that are mentally challenged, and we have modified the program so that when they weigh in or when they talk their food diary, they color pictures, or they do something else instead of being able to keep a journal like other people that be less challenged would be doing. And that's gaining national attention, so we're privileged to be part of that. So the Y focus is on health, and that's what we're doing, trying to make Muskegon a healthier place. So, and the next slide, if you could help us advance that. Thank you, Mike.
Oh,
Some of the specific programs and the whys, those of you that grew up with the why like I did would remember that everything is an acronym. You know, YMCA itself is an acronym. And healthy weight in your child, HWIC, we usually call it that. Diabetes, I've already said, DPP. Blood pressure self-monitoring is a program that we are engaged in, and these are all EBHI programs, evidence-based health initiatives. So that's what we do, and we are the only providers of those. When we set out to reinvent ourselves, we wanted to make sure that we're not duplicating services that other providers or nonprofits are doing in the community. And those of you that are past board members will remember the angst that we went through we shed certain programs and we adopted others, going through those filters. Healthy out of school time, we call HOST. We work with Reese Puffer and other schools to do those kind of programs. Fruitport is where we have a number of students involved, and they have, like, remember the old latchkey, the name latchkey programs? Well, that's where the kids would stay, but we do the physical activity parts of that. And so we would go to the schools and help with those. Safe Drawn Water, better known as AKA Pool School. So we had that for years. We're still working with a little over 1,000 kids a school year, and specifically third graders. And our goal is to have every third grader every year go through that program. We're focused primarily at Muskegon Heights right now with that program, but we also use the pool at the high school. Worksite wellness, cooking matters, nutrition education, and the veggie van. Has anybody not seen the veggie van in town? You've never seen it. Look more carefully, because it's out there. We are working with AgeWell Senior Resources. We're at a number of different spots in terms of, we're at Jefferson Towers, we're at places around the community. And one of the ways we used our experience with distributing food, you know, the Rotary had a program this past year during COVID of helping distribute those. The Y did also. When we packaged the food, we figured out the requirements, and we distributed it. We happened to do it one day a week, but our volume was so big. Our goal when we first started in August was to see if we could do 1,000 meals a month. And so that's what we are aiming. So can we do this? And so the first one, I think we had like 300 or so. So that's pretty good for a week. We should be on track. We actually went August to August with distributing 370,000 plus meals. So we were doing 1,000 meals a day is what we averaged out. And if Jeff got calls from traffic control and issues because we had cars lined up starting at 7:30 in the morning, they helped us, and we appreciate that. We were directing traffic. People were lining up around the block, literally. We started at 11 a.m. They started lining up in the cars for distribution at about 7:30 or 8. So, and we did it efficiently. So it was a privilege to be part of that, and it went beyond, obviously, our expectations. I've talked enough. I'm going to let Gabe. And then I'll just interject when I think of something funny to put in.
That's usually how it goes. So Pendaluan specifically, as you know, Bruce mentioned earlier, summer camp is our focus. That's kind of, you know, why we exist, right? So we have overnight camp programs, we have day programs. We did not run in 2020. We did a very interesting segue into the agriculture workers program. So we were actually providing housing for H1N1 visa holding farm workers from the area that needed to quarantine for COVID-19. Since we weren't able to run, so we were able to provide that service. So, you know, it's all that innovation, right? what was needed. So we did that for a year, but we were back to running summer programming in 2021, which we're thrilled about. And we're already open for registration in 2022. So if you have any campers, feel free to sign them up. But we do more than just summer. We are also a venue, we're a growing wedding venue. It's quite the thing right now to do a lot of outdoors weddings, as you can imagine, in today's climate. So we'd kind of been starting that prior to the pandemic, but we're continuing to be of service in that way as well. We do company retreats. We've had GE Aviation out, the Chamber from here in Muskegon. And so we do facility rentals on that piece as well. And then we do partner with the local schools to do different outdoor education and recreation and experiential education programs.
Although that's shifted.
It is shifting. We used to be more, okay. I want to say we used to focus more on doing like week-long adventures for, older kids or, 6th, 7th, or 8th graders. And now, per what we can do and what the school systems need, we're looking at more one-day and then overnight trips instead. So we're kind of, again, refocusing that as the need, as we see the need. And focus with that piece. Did you?
No, good.
Okay. Am I advancing the slides now?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Our newest program opened in June of 2021. It's the Y Learning Center. This came to be, Goodwill Industries of West Michigan and the United Way had been working with a Child Care Action Team, and one of their goals was to provide equitable, accessible, and affordable child care for anybody who needed it here in Muskegon. And so those conversations began to happen in 2020, and they brought in the Y, because the Y is actually the #1 provider of child care nationally. And the way that those segue together, too, is that the #1 employment barrier, both nationally and in Muskegon, is the lack of affordable, accessible child care. And we really wanted to focus on the ALICE population in particular, because there aren't a lot of centers that are able to provide services to people who can't afford to pay it. So somebody who wouldn't necessarily get a government subsidy or qualify for that and couldn't afford to pay full time, but definitely needed those services. So we're in place as a 3-tiered kind of system to serve all of those kids. And that's, that we opened in June, and we've been working together with a lot of community partners within that. Some of the, I think I mentioned.
Goodwill, is that what anybody? And we're housed in Muskegon Covenant Academy. So we took over a wing of that building, and we didn't tear out any walls, but we made it very bright.
We ground them down.
We ground out, we took off the chalkboards. That kind of hurt me in some ways, to nostalgia, but we took down the chalkboards, and we made the walls. And you could see in the slide with the cogs, that's the furniture that came from Foam Core, another Muskegon company. They worked with us to outfit our site, and that's one of the rooms. So we have new flooring, and we have bright walls, and they're all in those bright YMCA colors. So it's truly something that we wanted to have someone that was of means, that could go anywhere they wanted, that money was not an object, and enroll their children, that our goal was to have them be on our waiting list. That they would want to come in at the same time that people that are totally subsidized would be able to interact with, and so both families would have the benefit of that interaction. So we have all those extremes and the high level of care.
Mike, would you play the video for me? This was a video marketing campaign we did with Rebel. We are at our Y Learning Center today, which is our daycare and preschool combined. And we serve the greater Muskegon area, but we really focus on the city of Muskegon. Muskegon has what's called childcare deserts, and the city of Muskegon is one specifically, which just means that there are a lot more kids that need care than there are spots for them in a center, in a home, any kind of daycare spot.
I was really excited to find the program here. We started out at another center that didn't have room for us to continue there. And this is just so centrally located to work and school for the other kid in the home. And it's just so consistent and right in the community.
We serve 6 weeks through school agers. So we really focus on 6 weeks to about 3, and that's just, we do different curriculums, so we're focused on social emotional learning, fine and gross motor skills, and then we have an official preschool program as well that follows the same thing as you would find at in fact, we partner with the Muskegon Public Schools.
I have 2 kids that are coming here. They are 4 and 4 months. One is in the preschool and then one in the infant room. She loves the books and the crafts that they do every day, and just working with both the site director and the teachers in the room. And then the baby has done really well in the infant room, and there's great communication. I sometimes get photo updates throughout the day of what he's doing.
Our parents really like that we provide structure, but that we also individualize things for their children. So we have, our loose structure for the day so the kids know what to expect, and that's comforting to them. And then also we meet their needs. So if they want to learn about something specific that day, we can learn about that, or, study that or that piece. Or if they're having a good day or a bad day, or they have things they need to work on.
Like, I'm really excited how well they work with us and are flexible with us to work on behaviors and just to do extra for the kids when needed.
There's sometimes wider ranges in maturity at those younger ages, and so you have to meet all of those needs. So it's really important to be flexible and address things individually with each child and each family.
We've had a great experience with all the staff. They are always, very informative on how the day was. They're always excited to see all the kids. Even my school-age kid, when she comes and picks up the little ones, they check in with her and she'll leave them notes sometimes on their desk.
The best way to sneak us out is to go to our website, muskegonymca.org. We'd love to have you come out to our center and take part in this great new childcare space in Muskegon.
So currently we are starting to grow from an enrollment perspective, but we are looking for people in the community. So if you know anybody who might benefit from that experience, please reach out and let us know. We also partner with the TriShare program, which is headed out through Goodwill Industries of West Michigan as well. And they help, provide a connection between those in the working force and needing spots. Not that it would have to be at our particular center. It could be at any center where there would be a need, but we are partnering with that program as well.
And if we, with the next slide. And finally, we also have been able to open a center in the Viking Athletic Center in Whitehall. And that'll come up in a moment. Viking Fit, pardon?
You might want to clarify it's not childcare.
Oh, sorry. I transitioned from childcare back to general-wide programs. And that, in conjunction with the White Lake Area Intermediate School District, I can't do it.
There's no such thing.
We're gonna have, we'll get the next slide in somehow. But that's one of the places where we provide the Live Strong program, and that's for people that are recovering from cancer. They have gone through like the end or near the end of their treatment, so basically they're considered to be cured, but they are left with chemo bodies, ravaged bodies, or the exhaustion of going through any kind of treatment, all the different type of appointments that they have to do with that kind of a situation. So it's whatever type of cancer, and we have a couple different sites that we're using, but that's primarily where we're focused right now, is in the one in Whitehall. And there's many of you that have been at our Black Tie for the Y fundraiser. It's coming up in just another month on February 5th. That benefits the Live Strong program. That's the one event for the year that we use for fundraising for that program. So if you haven't gotten the invitation, they're in the mail. If you would like one, let us know. We'd be glad to make that available. We are having it in person, and it's at the Delta next door here. So I know many of you have been sponsors and attendees in the past. So we're at the point where we have questions available. If you're interested to learn more, now's your chance to Marcia, yes.
Let's get a microphone.
I should have given Rem a bigger heads up for that.
How is the Learning Center funded besides what parents pay? How is it subsidized?
So we are subsidized through a variety of ways. So we do have, because we're a three-tiered system, our subsidy kiddos come from the state. So we get that subsidy from the state of Michigan. We have our full pay kids, our full pay kids, I'll get closer to the mic so you can hear me. And those are paid for through the parents. And then with our scholarship group, with our Alice population is what they fall into, that is funded through various community donors. So we've had generous individual donors. We've worked with the Community Foundation to provide that. The city of Muskegon has donated for those students as well. United Way has helped us bring in donated money for those scholarships. So that's how we've been providing that.
Gabe, I'm curious about the impact of COVID, both with the kids and the staff that are in the Y Learning Center, as well as it being a potential impediment in terms of bringing new people into the school.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so from a COVID perspective, we anticipated quicker growth and from an enrollment perspective, and that has been affected by COVID because people are returning to work at varying levels. We're not seeing that quick uptick in all industries, and there's a lot of reservation, from parents. If they can find a way to just keep their child at home, they will find that way to do it, which we're understanding of. But that has definitely impacted us, and we've had, again, because it's a community effort, we've had our community members help us with that piece and make sure that we can, continue to be open and functioning during that piece of the time. From a spreading perspective and COVID and that piece, from that piece, child care centers have tended to have very low rates. We follow very strict licensing guidelines. We've been fortunate at our center. We do the things that we need to do to stay open, and we've been able to do that thus far. But it certainly does impact our staff. Staffing in general for childcare has been very difficult to come by. It's an industry, as many of you know, you're all nodding your heads, teachers in our early childhood ed, it's very difficult to find high quality staff for those positions. So we, as many in the community, are continuing to deal with that. And we do have a focus on, because we are a multicultural center, we reflect that with our staffing as well, which adds another great layer to it.
Gabrielle, what's your capacity, and is your capacity based on space or staffing, or how does that figure out?
Excellent. It's based on both. So currently, we are staffed for 68 kids, and it has to do with how we've chosen to split up the rooms. So we have 2 rooms that serve 2.5 years of age and younger. We have one that serves like the true infants, right? You're 0 to about 18 months. That can serve 12 kids in that room. We have another room that can also serve 12. That's about 1.5 to 2.5 or so. And we age that based on maturity levels, and there's a bunch of data and research that tells you like what ages you should transition in. Then we have an older 3-year-old room, which is an early preschool room, and a preschool room. So we have chosen to limit ourselves that way. But from a staffing perspective, you're also correct. If we can only have so many kids, even though we are licensed to take 68, we may only be able to provide that. We are able to, at this point, take this children that we need and staff that 68, but that could be a factor. Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we, as a follow-up to the last question, one of the things that we did intentionally was to provide care for infants, and that seemed to be lacking in the area and a large impediment for employees to get back to work. And so we are trying to support the industry in that sense.
Just wanted to remind you, I think, Bruce, you're on my email list for this, but the 10 cents a meal program, the statewide program, $5 million just dedicated, also includes early daycare and early learning centers. So that means your food is subsidized if you source from local sources. And there's a growing list of what is considered local. It's not just farms now, it's in addition to farms. So that might be an option for you when you're looking at budget as well. And also the application is coming up, I believe, early Feb. So I can share more if you need it.
Last question, Dave.
Bruce, if you would just give us a brief update on how we did on Seaway Run last year and what we're looking forward to in 2022.
Seaway Run was in a challenge. Last year was a very challenging year, a comeback year, when in terms of challenging in so many ways. To the setting up the booths and everything at 3 a.m. during a thunderstorm, getting ready for it, as well as the number of turnouts, people coming through. So we're actually anticipating a full race this year, and have great hopes. Financially, the organizations both benefited by at least $20,000 each, which I believe is Rotary's largest fundraiser historically and annually. And we anticipate bringing that at least to a $25,000 or $30,000 for each organization this coming year. That's our goal.
So I'm just going to take advantage of the microphone and compliment the Y. You are a case study in resiliency, transition, innovation. When you think about what the Y was 15, 20 years ago to what it is today, and still successful and a major contributor to our community. Thank you.
Well said, Rem. Bruce and Gabe, for presenting today. Our club will make a donation to community economic development on your behalf, and we thank you for sharing an update of everything that's going on at the Y out in the community. On to our birthdays, and I saw at least one birthday person here. We have Lisa Saberin on the 9th, Megan Byard-Caraba on the 10th, and Josh Silvis on the 11th. So if your name's Josh Silvis and you're here and it's your birthday, bring your $10 over to Kathy and we'll sing for you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. All right, happy birthday. When you become president of Rotary, they hook you up with this thing called Mighty, and it's a social network for Rotary presidents. There may be other people in it, I don't know. I think it just came out, so if you're also in it. But I got this little update that I didn't even know about, and it said that January is Vocational Service Month. And I thought, wow, how great, because that's a avenue of service that we celebrate every month here at Muskegon Rotary. So they had a few things about it, and I thought I'd just share that with the club today. Rotary founder Paul Harris wrote, "Each Rotarian is a connecting link between the idealism of Rotary and their trade or profession. Vocational service is a way that Rotary fosters support for the application, the ideal of service to the pursuit of all vocations. During January, Rotarians are encouraged to focus on this important avenue of service." And I just want to compliment our club because we've been doing this for 6 months already, so we're ahead of the game. And today we're going to share a member spotlight that is going to highlight one of our important members, well-known members, and when I think about the Y, influential members for the Y's success over the years, we're going to hear about Nancy Crandall.
Hi, Muskegon Rotary. I'm Nancy Crandall, resident of Norton Shores and Rotary member since 1995. Well, I'm a mother of 3 adult sons, 7 grandchildren. My husband, Don, is also a Rotarian. I graduated from Indiana University with a degree in nursing and worked in nursing for a few years and taught psychiatric nursing at one point. After moving to Muskegon with 3 children, I worked at home for a number of years, went back to work, owned and operated a small business for a while. I worked at Hackley Hospital and at Muskegon Community College in community relations type work. And then I began a string of years on the Norton Shores City Council as a member of the Michigan House of Representatives and then as mayor of Norton Shores for 12 years. Well, I'm not sure my background brings a whole lot, but I've been involved in a number of things at Rotary, including being a past president and a past assistant district governor. I think the most meaningful thing I've done is Don and I organized and hosted a number of mission trips to Honduras, putting in water filters, latrines, and a vented stove. We thoroughly enjoyed our relationship with Rotarians in Honduras, and in fact, have remained friends with a number of the folks down there. And I've also been involved in I think probably every committee in Rotary at one time or another. I co-chaired with the wonderful Gary Ostrom the Rotary Park effort that was concluded a few years ago. It's been just a thoroughly enjoyable time for me being in Rotary.
Issue as my first wife.
I don't know how you can't be sure about your contribution to Rotary. You've pretty much done every job we have. You've even made up some jobs so you could do more. So thank you for sharing about your career to one of my favorite Rotarians and fellow walkers and Norton Shores neighbors. So Nancy, is great to learn a little bit more about you. Hey, our announcements. Mike Vogus is going to show a short video that highlights a new feature on our website. Take it away, Mike.
Hello, Muskegon Rotarians. This short tutorial will acquaint you with navigation and use of the members-only page on our website, titled Committee Updates. The purpose of the web page is to offer all of us a way to better understand and appreciate what our club is accomplishing by sharing what we do through short committee updates. These short reports are for our club members only. The page has limited access. It is available only with username and password. The information each committee chooses to share is up to them, as you will see in the examples here. This is how it works. Under the Our Club menu heading, scroll down to Committee Updates. Once clicked, you will arrive at the Club Runner page for Rotary Club of Muskegon. This online resource we pay for will increasingly become a valuable way for us to improve not only our internal communication, but also coordinate our resources to do a better job with fundraising and community outreach. Once logged in, the Committee Updates page will load. This is where your report will be posted. Your committee representative, the chair or someone appointed by them, will create a short report to summarize what you are currently doing to make our club better or move forward. It can be a Word doc or a PDF. You can add links to photos, other documents, or videos. The links need to be tested before you upload them because we cannot fix them if they don't work. Email your Word doc or PDF to mike.vogus@muskegonrotary.org and I will post them for you. You can send a new entry at any time. Your new entry will replace the previous document. If you choose to lengthen your original report, make sure the most current info leads. Otherwise, those accessing it may not get what you intend to share as recent. This is a work in progress. So, share questions or ideas for improvement as they occur to you, and I will do my best to incorporate what we discover. Thank you for helping better communicate the good we are doing.
That's just another thing that Mike whipped up in his spare time, in addition to getting here at 9 o'clock every Thursday to set up for our meeting. So thank you, Mike, for doing that. Our website's a valuable resource, and we'll get out of it what we put into it. So I'd encourage all the committee chairs to utilize the area to share the good work that we're doing. All right, our last announcement is no rewind tonight. They weren't up for braving the elements. If they would have had a meeting, they would have been at Rake Beer Project. So that's a good place to go. Maybe you can patronize them since the rewinders aren't going to be there. And now we're on to our raffle. Our birthday boy has the raffle. Oh, I gotta see if I win.
For $20, 450. 450.
450. $20. Oh, look at that. $20 and best hair at the meeting both. What a day.
$10, 378, 378.
Bill Loxnerman. Best cabbage rolls in the club. Tested.
$5, 401, 401.
Okay, that brings us to the conclusion of our meeting. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for joining us on Zoom. If you could not join us in person, thank you to Bruce, Gabe, Joe, Monica, Aaron, and Kevin. Kevin, you'll be inducted soon. I know you've already been through orientation, so we're looking forward to welcoming you to the club officially. Next week's program will be Roger Curtis, VP of Public Affairs with Consumers Energy. So if you are looking for an update on what's going on at Consumers, be here next week. If everyone could please rise, we'll do the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right. Thanks. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah.